Hey guys, AuspiciousAussie here. Welcome to episode 26 of our Southampton series for FM16. So this is the pre-season episode, of course. Last season was a pretty decent season overall, and yeah, we actually did quite well, to be honest. We finished in 7th, could have clinched the Europa League spot on the last day of the season, but we disappointingly lost to, I believe it was Derby, when I did that end of season live, where I did the Chelsea game and the Derby game as well. So that was pretty disappointing, not going to lie. And yeah, but all in all, it was a pretty good season. We had a little bit of a rough patch, and then we managed to turn things around. So without me rambling on anymore, let's get into the transfers. There has been quite a bit of activity. We sold a couple of first-team players as per usual. Um, I don't know why, but I just do it every season. I just get offered some decent money, and I just look at the player and I think I can replace this guy. And I have done it since the series started. But the thing is, it usually takes me a season, maybe 2 seasons, for me to actually replace the player with a player of the same quality or better. And that's kind of why we've suffered. And yeah, as a result of that, we still haven't gotten Europa League football at the least. So, first of all, there was quite a lot of transfer activity, especially the outs. Ravel Morrison was sold to Reading for 1 million. We just wanted to get this guy out, complaining about first team football. Brought him in for free as a backup, and yeah, he just never played. And the constant complaining was bugging me, and yeah, it was a bit of deadwood, to be honest. Wanted to clear him out. The next player is just the youth player, James McAllister. We sold him to Rangers for 250k. He's not horrible, but he's nowhere near good enough for this level. And at 21 years old, he needed to go. But he was a product of the youth academy, but I'm not really too fussed about him, to be honest. We sold him to a decent club in Rangers as well, so hopefully he becomes something in the future. That'd be quite nice to see. Anyway, moving on. Victor Wanyama, we sold him for a second time, this time to Toulouse in France, for 9 million. One of the better performers of last season, not going to lie, but looking at his age, 30 years old now, to get 9 million for a player that's 30, I think is a decent bit of business by me. And yeah, we have a couple of our own players. We got Eza, Hurst, Balic, Ogunbi, and I also brought in another player as well. As you can probably see by the ins there, he was the most expensive of the transfer window for us. And he's a very, very good central midfielder. So yeah, we just decided to let him go, and hopefully it pays off with some of our English centre mids getting a bit more game time. We then sold Nathan Redmond. He was pretty much the best performer last season, as you can see here. 37 games played, 6 goals, 13 assists, and a 7.60 average rating, which is very, very high. So a little bit, disappointing. But we got 44.5 mil. I think the potential to go up to 50 in different clauses as well from Arsenal. So yeah, I think it's a decent bit of business. He is 28 now, 27. So he's probably just hitting the prime of his career, or he's already in that type of time period. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's the worst result in the world. I think we got big money for him, and I'm quite happy with it. If you look at his other moves, of course, when he went to City for 36, so it made more money than when Man City actually bought him. So happy with that. We're going to replace him. You guys might have seen this, but we're looking to bring in Pione Sisto, 26 years old, so he's a year younger. Basically looks pretty much like for like. As far as stats go, very good pace, which Redmond had, and pretty good technicals as well, and good flair. So lacking a little bit in the mentals, but the flair's good. and I'm actually quite a fan of him. Had a personal Arsenal save on last year's game, and yeah, signed him in the first transfer window, and he turned out to be an absolute wonder kid for me. I'm pretty sure he turned world class, and was one of the reasons why I did so well in that personal save last year. So very happy to try and get him in. I think we are competing with Red Bull Leipzig for his transfer, and that's a little bit worrying because they just sold one of their regens for like 36 mil up front. So yeah, a little bit worrying, but hopefully we can get his signature. There is another player I'm actually going after as well, an English regen who also looks very good. He's a Tottenham player, and yeah. Anyway, he's basically the backup if this Sisto bid fails and he goes to Leipzig. Anyway, moving on, rambling. Shongwei is a player we brought in for free, of course. I think I showed you him. He's a South African centre-back. We let him go out on loan to Real Salt Lake in America. Montuli Makwano. Yeah, we'll just call him Makwano. He's also the other South African I bought in for free. He's the striker. He went out on loan to Millonarios, who's a Colombian team. Not too bad. He's kind of improving. They both kind of are. Which is good to see, Anyways, the next player we sold was Tom Aguilar. We sold him to Tottenham for 22 million, the Peruvian centre-back, who I was quite fond of, to be honest. It was a little bit hard to let him go. We bought him in for 750,000 and sold him for 22. He did have the one really good season, not last season, but the season before, 35 games played, where he scored the 6 goals, which was where I kind of had a bit of a soft spot for him, and he also got 2 assists in that season and averaged a 7 match rating throughout the 35 games played in the league. So the next player that left the club was a guy I'm pretty sure I brought in last season, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, it must have been the season before. Yes, it was. He was at the season for what? Pretty much one whole season, I suppose. Lawrence Patton was sold to Nottingham Forest for 2.9 million, I think with 1.1 million in clauses as well. Just didn't look too great. Didn't really progress last season. I think he was out on loan, yeah. He played 33 games. Got a pretty good average rating, but just didn't really increase in any of his stats. And I got this offer from Nottingham Forest, and I tried to negotiate a little bit higher, and I was like, if I get a decent offer, and they came back with that, it was pretty much 4 million the transfer was worth. And I thought, 4 million, I mean, we brought him in for 775k. It's a little bit of a profit, to be honest, out of nowhere. So the next player we let go of was Mark Ngo'o. He went out on loan to Burispor. We're going to need him next season, and I wanted him to get first team football. He could have stayed at the club, probably would have been the better option, but I did this before something else happened, which is the next transfer. Giovan Rodriguez was sold to Borussia Dortmund for 25.5 million. That was all up front, no clauses. A pretty good transfer, I think. This one is a little bit up in the air. We bought him for 3.5, so we made 22 mil profit on him, if you want to look at it that way. But he was pretty much our only real quality left back. We have Silva, the centre back that we signed last season, who can play left back. We've also got Skrelj, or Bessim, I think we're calling him, the German guy, who can play there. Not very well at the moment. It's a risky one, a very risky transfer. We have the Turkish regen, the 16-year-old, coming at the start of next season, so again, it's one of those ones where I probably shouldn't have done it, but I needed to. He wanted to transfer out of the club, that's another thing to mention. He wanted to leave, and it could have caused me problems if I hadn't have done it as well. So yeah, there's negatives and positives, and we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But the next transfer was Diakate. He was loaned out to Sunderland, who I think are in the Championship. Yes, they are. We're going to wait and see on this guy. He has not scored a goal for the club yet. Really disappointed with how things are going with him. I had big plans for him becoming our, starting striker in the future. But he just hasn't performed at all, really. He's just done nothing. Albeit limited appearances as well, don't get me wrong. Um, but if he doesn't perform at Sunderland in the Championship and doesn't score at least 10 to 15 goals, anything above that, then I don't really think that he'll be at the club much longer, to be honest. We brought in another striker, two strikers really, three even, with the South African, with Makwano, who I'm not really looking at as a first-team striker, Makwano, more just a profit player. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. We paid 10 mil for him up front. That was, yeah, a mistake. Anyway, moving on. Mercado was sold to Cologne, depending on how you want to pronounce it, just for 1 million. He needed a new contract. It was running out at the end of the season. And every time I tried to give him a new contract, he would fail gaining a work permit. So it was pretty much either go on a free or we try and sell him now. And yeah, we did that. Got a mil for him. Quite happy with that, to be honest. How much did we actually bring him in for? Okay, so we took a loss of 2.3 mil there. That's a little bit annoying, to be honest. Yeah, work permits, eh? Absolute bitch sometimes. The next player was Marian Pereda, or Preda. I don't know how you pronounce that. I'm just going to go Preda. Preda was loaned out to Celtic, which I think is once again a very good move for a player in the Premier League to go to the Scottish Premier League, or the Scottish First Division, whatever you want to call it. And Celtic's obviously the best club in the division. Probably has arguably the best training facilities and stuff as well. I think I mentioned this last season when I loaned out another player to Celtic. And the final player was Efrain Morales. He was loaned out to Krasnodar, the Russian club. Again, a little bit worried about this transfer, or this loan deal, because, loaning both of them out, selling Tom Aguila, selling Patton, we're leaving ourselves a little bit thin at centre-back. Okay, so the play's in. Try and do this very quickly. We went over Shongwei, South African on a free, Makwano on a free. The next player was Paolo Graziosi. He was also on a free transfer on a Bosman. We signed him before his contract ran out from Stade de Reims, I believe. As you can see, a decent little striker, nothing more, nothing less. Again, probably just another profit player, but we'll see how he goes. He's only 19, and he looks quite good. The next player is the centre mid I was talking about, Andrei Matveev, or Matveev. Yeah, Matveev. He's a Ukrainian centre mid, 19 years old, very, very good as far as his stats and stuff go. Physicals are all very good apart from his jumping, but that's not really going to play too much into things. 15 determination, again, very good for a 19-year-old, and fits right into the mould of the squad. And he's got the technicals to be a very good central midfielder for us. So next, we have Crescenti, another Paolo, and another player from Stade de Reims. It's either Crescenti. No, we'll go with Crescentini. And yeah, this guy is from San Marino, 20-year-old Sammarinese player. Looks very, very good. 18 finishing, very good pace and strength. Looks like just an all-round, solid advanced forward, to be honest. I mean, he's lacking in passing, but that's about it. And yeah, 20 years old, 31 caps for San Marino with 7 goals already. And that's quality. He actually started at the San Marino club in Italy, so that's a little bit interesting. Yeah, Stade de Reims bought him for 18,000. So yeah, decent play to get in. And the final player we got in was Sergio Aguero. Very interesting transfer. His contract ran out at City, and then we just snapped him up. And yeah, wages aren't too bad. He's only on 70,000 a week. He's 33, but look at his stats. I mean, his physicals are just going now. But if you look at everything else, he can either play striker for us or shadow striker. So he gives us decent little cover there. And of course, we picked up that injury to Zivkovic at the end of last season, and yeah, just I had that in mind when I looked at him for the potential transfer there. So quite happy with that. Anyway, let's get into the pre-season fixtures very quickly here. This episode looks like it's going to be a bit of a long one. First up, DC United beat them 3-0. Our goals coming from Franson and a brace for Lopez there. We then drew 2-2 with AS Monaco. Shaqiri with a brace for us and Lukaku with a brace for them. And Sakai also got sent off. We then beat the Seattle Sounders 4-0. Kostic with 2 goals, Eza and Lopez also on the score sheet. We then also beat Red Bull Salzburg. Pretty good win, to be honest. It was actually quite a decent game. 3-2. Kostic, Zivkovic and Shaqiri scoring our goals. We then finally beat Boca Juniors. Of course, we versed them last season and they beat us. Oh, sorry, they drew with us when Iturbe got the equaliser for them. We managed to beat them 3-0. Pretty convincing, to be honest. Zivkovic, Besim and Crescentini, we'll call him Crescentini. And the final game was against St. Patrick's Athletic, and we only beat them 1-0. Not the most convincing result in the world before we start our season, and yeah, Zivkovic was our scorer. Okay, so first game of the season, as you can read by the title, is well, it actually doesn't say Newcastle United, but it says the first EPL game. And yeah, we're versing our bogey team. We got our first win against them last season in a live commentary. As you can see there, the little red arrow, or the red line, sorry, the red bar, means we got a win. Okay, so today's starting lineup as we try and get our second ever win against Newcastle will be Trapp in goals. We're going with Emeterio at right back, Van Voorthuizen and Silva as our 2 centre-backs, with Besim at left back. So, interesting there. I was contemplating playing Silva at left back and bringing Van Dijk in to play at centre-back for us, but we're going to go with this. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully Besim will at least be solid for us. He doesn't have to be outstanding, just solid, and I'll be happy with that. Okay, so the midfielders, Matveev, the Ukrainian, gets his debut alongside Hurst. Lopez will sit in front of them as a shadow striker. You got Kostic on the left wing, Shaqiri on the right wing, and Zivkovic up front. The bench today will be Dimitrovic, Van Dijk, McCourt, Eza, Aguero, Eckhart, and Crescentini. So yeah, let's advance here and get into the game. Got to give out a lot of numbers. Aguero wants 10, but Kostic already has the number 10, so we won't be able to do that. Of course, it's got to take a while for the game to load the teams because my computer isn't the best in the world. Let's get into the team talk here. A little bit worried, but all things considered, I'm going to tell them I expect a win. We'll try and get them fired up here and see what we can do. Okay, so let's get into the game then. Alright, away to Newcastle is always going to be a bit of a difficult game, especially for us because they're our bogey team. And Keita bringing the ball forward. They've got a very good team as well, don't forget. They got Balde Keita, Otavio. I think they might still have Luis Enrique. Well, is it Luis Enrique, or am I just totally putting a random name out there? Otavio is very deadly. I think Newcastle actually won the Europa League last season. I should check that because I'm pretty sure they did. Zivkovic, oh, that was a decent little ball behind there. and of course Baldy Keita is Senegalese. I think that's how you pronounce it properly. He's from Senegal anyway, so I'm quite familiar with him as I am the Senegal manager. Otavio, and that is a good save by Trapp, keeping us in the game there. Decent little save. And I do apologise for this episode being so long. I think it's like around the 22-minute mark already. And we're not even at half-time of the live commentary yet, so yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying. Most of the episodes are actually quite long these days. I used to do like 15-minute episodes, 15 to 17-minute long episodes, and these days I'm usually doing over 20 at least. I enjoy doing them more, and he's offside there. And I hope you guys are enjoying watching them for a bit longer, because they are more enjoyable for me to make, and I really like putting them out in this format. I think the next series I will probably actually try a different format. But yeah, definitely for the Southampton one, I like what I'm doing here. Pretty much 4 episodes a season, and if we of course ever make any type of cup final, I'll probably do a separate live com for that. But that hasn't happened so far, has it? So yeah. Anyway, Kostic in behind here. Bessim smashes it straight against a Newcastle player. Okay. And they've just brought on Rennie Adelaide. Rayner, I don't know how you pronounce his name. He's the Arsenal youngster. The French guy that looks very, very good. I feel like making a substitution here as they bring Otavio off for Karaman, who I think was like in the top goal scorers last season for a random team. And he's almost got him behind there, and Renner Adelaide had a chance to score a goal there but didn't. Alright, so we're going to make a sub here. We're going to bring on Crescentini. I think that's the only sub we'll make, to be honest, because everyone else is kind of playing alright. But Zivkovic was on a 6.6 and also on a yellow card. As we approach the final few minutes of the game, 0-0 so far, and it's pretty much the end of it with a corner here for Newcastle. Could have given away a penalty then, but Lopez, and that's the final whistle. So, a very long episode and a very lackluster live commentary, I suppose. It's pretty much nothing to even speak about, really. 0-0 draw with Newcastle. I guess we didn't really lose, so I can't really be upset at it, because, of course, they are our bogey team. A couple of new players playing in the first team as well. Van Voorthuizen picking up man of the match in that game as well. I'm very happy with that. He's one of my favourite players on the series, of course. Played very, very well last season. We brought him in for 10 million four seasons ago from Utrecht. So yeah, starting to pay us back big time. He's pretty much the first player I put in the starting lineup every game, to be honest. At 21 years old, he's also got a cap for the Dutch national team as well. Very impressed with that as well. So yeah, we got Mateve makes his debut. Didn't lose it in his first game, and of course you got Crescentini and Bessim as well making their debut. And apparently Crescentini is finding it tough. He's currently on a goal drought. Interesting. His stats are going up a little bit, so that's quite good to see. And if you look at it, he has scored goals before. Chamois Orte, League 2, scored 10 goals. Then when he went back to Stade de Reims, scored 17. And then he scored 9, so pretty much 1 every 3 games, maybe even 1 every 2 games. So yeah, he's not the worst. He's only 20 years old. Got to give him a bit of time, I think. And anyways, guys, that's going to wrap this episode up. I hope you have enjoyed it. It's been a long one, as I've said about 3 times now. And of course, yeah, the live commentary wasn't the greatest in the world either. But I think it's a good way to start the season off, to be honest. A draw against our bogey team probably sets us off on a fairly decent path. Looking at the fixtures here, we've got Derby, Swansea, and then Manchester City. That's going to be a tough game. And then I've got lots of different international games with Senegal. So lots of different things to keep me interested in. Anyways, if you could drop a like, that'd be amazing, guys. And I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.